What's up, everybody, and welcome to a new video, new daily review. I'm your host, Diogenes. So we started the trading day here. Asia, as we saw, we are on M12, right? Asia was doing higher highs. Okay. Start of London, they swept this protect low and never closed above it. Okay, we were still in bearish, bullish order flow, and we swept this low into this origin or CSS right here, right? So price was still bullish, right? I was still just looking at the charts by the time, right? And on M1, right? M1, I was waiting for some structure. Okay, so here when we swept the M1 protect low, which was here, right? We immediately flipped. Okay, and this flip had this inducement, right, in it. Okay, here like that. So we always wait for it to be swept and a CSS to happen. Okay, you can take a trade like that from the mitigation of this CSS right here. Target the high and put the stop under the zone, right? You always put the stop under the zone because you can see that we came and swept it another time, right? So you always play it safe, right? And after the CSS, you put the stop under the zone and make sure you have at least positive RR or at least a 1-to-1, right? If the setup doesn't give you more than 1-to-1 or doesn't give you less than 1-to-1, just let it go, right? Okay, that's the first setup, right? So here again, we created this zone, we closed above, right? We were bullish still. What they do? This is the zone, right? This is the CSS here, okay? So you just take it from the mitigation, right? And you can target either the high, right? That's 20 point for a 6-point stop loss, right? That's a very good setup. We also had those this liquidity swept, right? So this was a perfect setup, this one, right? Or you can at least go for a 1-to-1 as always, right? 1-to-1 of the zone. Okay, realistic goals. Okay, so here we swept the high of the range, so by design, and we CSS, right? So by design, the target is the low that created the target is by design this, and sometimes also this, right? So here again, we knew that we entered a mini state of range, right? So we wait for the sweep and the flip before taking anything, okay? And here, I was waiting for price to trade back to this CSS and take a long, but it never happened, right? I was about to take a 1-to-1 here, but it never happened. But something better happened, okay? Which was the creation of this zone now, okay? We created this zone. So we created this zone. Okay, the zone was this here to here, right? So we made that, kept sweeping and then closed. So this was the zone, right? So at 50% again, we had this liquidity, okay? Wait for it to be taken, and we had also this orange, right? So for precision, you can take it from the CSS, wait for to come back to the CSS, or as I always tell you, you can play the one-to-one, cover the lows, right? Go for a one-to-one, okay? That's the simple trade here, okay? Or you can play it like that. You can wait for this CSS, okay? And wait for price to come back to after sweeping this liquidity and take it from here, cover the lows and go for a one-to-one. Please guys, whenever you take the CSS, just especially in London, they're seeking more liquidity. Just be careful placing your stop here, right? They tend to wick them a lot, okay? So this was the other trade, right? Now, what happened when we closed above it? We confirmed this zone, okay? Which was here. Where is the liquidity in this zone? Okay, we had this and this. So we wait for something to be swept here and a CSS, right? So here's our CSS, okay, here. Price never came back to it, but we closed somehow, we confirmed the CSS somehow very close to the 50%. So we know that if we can take it aggressively here, we will have the one-to-one for the zone, right? Or we can target the last high, right? So or you can just forget about everything here, and just take the one-to-one of the zone. All right, so what happened again, right? So we close above this zone, right? What happened? We confirmed this zone, right? What do? Again, one-to-one, right? We keep taking your one-to-ones until it doesn't work, okay? That's another one-to-one. Imagine, guys, you'd be done for the day by now, right? So that's another trade, okay? Another one-to-one, which confirms this zone, right? So we broke above it, right? We have now this zone. Again, this zone had liquidity. I love those zones. I tend to trust them more because I know price the guys that take longs here will pay themselves with the stops here, right? So what do we do again? You just take it. With these zones, you either take them from they usually come back for the origins, right? Here, CSS origin. They usually come back for them. You can long them aggressively, right? Put the stop under, right? Take the one-to-one of the zone or target the high, right? Or you can go into trouble and look for the CSS, which happened here, right? So we closed here, and you can put fib or something here, right? And take it from the 50% 1-to-1 again. But as I always tell you, it's risky because they can still go and sweep you, right? So you can do that, cover the zone and go for a 1-to-1. Granted, the 1-to-1 is under the last high created. You'll be Gucci, okay? Okay, so what happened now again? We created this zone now when we closed above it. The zone was made of this and this. Now there is a gap here, right? Which makes this the low of the zone, right? You can take the 1-to-1 here, but let's just say that you make a zone like this and you missed this trade, all right? No problem. Okay. So market open was closed, all right, and I was just looking at price, and when this happened, I was all over the place thinking what's happening, and then suddenly I had this idea of going to the M12. So when I went to the M12, right, I somehow deleted the indicator, right? So when I went to the M12, this was a protected low, protected high, right? And we closed under. So news did nothing but mitigate the 50% of this huge M12 zone. So I knew we flipped bearish, right? And we had like this M12 high. So I was looking now for shorts, right? And I saw that we closed above this M12 protected high, so we created and validated this zone, right? So I was thinking shorts to the 50% or to at least this SNDR, right? At least this SNDR. So went to the M12, right? It was stalking shorts here, okay? Let me delete this here zone, right? So here I was waiting for price to go back to this origin, right? The unmitigated origin, but it never did. So I didn't take this trade, and it was a little bit ugly. I knew they were coming down, but we had also this data high here and this unmitigated zone. I was thinking they will sweep this data high, go for the origin, and then break down, right? So I was sitting on my hands here doing nothing because no setup was here, right? And here we touched this little origin, right? Or it was this origin on M12, this SNDR, sorry, right? We touched it's 50% and we flipped bullish. So we had this zone, we closed under and we closed above. So this was a flip, right? But we never came back actually to the 50%, right? And the SNDR, or the zone that was responsible of liquidating this high, held this fractal. So price went long from it, right? So again, I was sitting, no setups was here. Again, we didn't come to the 50% here, right? We created this zone again, we took its high, and then we flipped bearish back again, right? So when we flipped back bearish, and I knew price wanted to go to the 50% of the M12 zone, right? So we created now this zone like here, okay? and it had liquidity here. So what do you do? So you wait for the CSS flip, right, as always, okay, and you wait for the 50%, right? You enter at the 50% short, right? Take the 1-to-1, and the 1-to-1 need to be just above the last low, because you can wick it and react from this unmitigated zone or something like that, right? So you either take this trade with confirmation I just showed you, right? Or when you see a zone, you just take the 1-to-1, right? So that's a setup for the simple guys like me sometimes, and that's the other setup for more advanced guys, right? So now price was coming down, right? This is not a structure zone, right? No problem. Here we closed above this candle, so this was now a valid pullback, right? And this was then we closed under, so this was our new zone, right? Bearish zone, and the 50% of that zone was here, so I knew this zone would work, right? So the inducement or the liquidity for this zone is here, right? So when this happens, right, like this, okay, when the liquidity is here, price is here, I just take it aggressively because I accept the risk, you know, the RR is crazy. So I just take it like that. I always take it because look, that's 9R trade, right? I never miss. The stop loss is so small, I take it aggressively, right? Or as always, right? As always, so this was the zone, sorry. Or as always, you take the 1-to-1, right? Just like that, and you'll be good. 16 points, okay? Or again, you wait for your CSS flip, so, and enter from the 50%. So we closed under this candle responsible of sweeping this liquidity here, so that's our CSS, right? We got the CSS here, all right? So this is the 50%. You enter from it, right? And you target the 1-to-1 of the zone, that's a 1.85 hours, or you take the last low, which was a 3R trade, right? So after this, I stopped trading. I knew price was going higher, right? But I didn't want to sit through this accumulation, and yeah, so price just was doing nonsense a little bit. I was good for the day, right? So this was it for yesterday, right? It was a good day, as always, even though it was a Monday, but we still could trade it and find good setups. Okay, guys, I'll see you in tomorrow's review. Ciao, ciao.